The banquet hall is lit with flickering candles, laughter echoing against stone walls, when a foreign princess daintily lifts her meal, not with her hands, but with a gleaming two-pronged instrument. Guests pause, whispering in shock. The church whispers louder. To them, this strange tool is not refinement. It is rebellion, a diabolical insult to God himself. That utensil, the fork so ordinary today, was once a scandal that rattled the very foundations of morality and faith in Europe. Long before the fork was common at the table, eating was a ritual dominated by fingers, knives, and spoons. The fork existed in ancient times. Traces of it appear in ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome, but it was rarely used as a personal dining utensil. Instead, it was a kitchen or serving tool, used to handle roasting meat or hot food. The idea of using it to bring food to one's own mouth seemed unnecessary and even bizarre. For centuries, the hands were seen not only as natural tools, but as divinely designed ones. Why would anyone need metal prongs when God had already given mankind fingers? The controversy truly began in the Byzantine Empire during the 11th century, when Theodora Ducana, a Byzantine princess, married into Venetian nobility. She brought with her the luxury of a small golden fork. To her, it was a symbol of refinement. To Venetian clergy, it was an abomination. When she fell ill and died young, church officials wasted no time in declaring her use of the fork as evidence of her vanity and sinfulness. According to one Venetian cleric, God in his wisdom has provided man with natural forks his fingers. Therefore, it is an insult to him to substitute artificial metal forks for them when eating. From this moment, the fork's reputation was tainted with immorality, arrogance, and whispers of the diabolical. Throughout the Middle Ages, eating with one's hands was a matter of etiquette and ritual. Noble feasts included rules on how to delicately pick up food, wipe fingers, and share from communal platters. The fork disrupted this practice, suggesting that the hands were somehow inadequate. To many, that suggestion bordered on blasphemy. Religious figures associated forks with pride, excess, and a rejection of God's design. Even more, the fork's sharp, pronged shape resembled the devil's trident, amplifying its sinister reputation. Still, the fork slowly carved a path into European dining culture. Italy, with its influence from Byzantine connections and later its flourishing Renaissance courts, became an early adopter. Catherine de' Medici is often credited with spreading fork use to France. When she married King Henry II in the 16th century, her court embraced the fork as part of an image of sophistication, though critics mocked it as a foreign and unnecessary affectation. In France, the very idea of piercing food instead of tearing it by hand or knife was seen by many as absurd. Resistance was fierce. In England, even well into the 17th century, travelers returning from Italy were ridiculed for using forks. The famous traveler Thomas Coryat was mocked by his countrymen for adopting the habit, earning the nickname Furcifer, Latin for fork-bearer. In Germany, similar resistance held strong, with forks dismissed as decadent or effeminate. The act of eating with one's hands remained deeply tied to tradition and masculinity. What ultimately shifted the tide was not theology but practicality. As dining customs evolved and meals became more refined, the fork proved useful. Sauces, delicate morsels, and new culinary trends demanded more precise handling than fingers could offer. By the 17th century, elite courts in France began embracing the fork as fashionable, with King Louis XIV famously endorsing its use. Once royalty normalized it, the fork's moral stigma began to fade. Gradually, what was once mocked as sinful became the very symbol of etiquette and refinement. By the 18th century, the fork had spread widely across Europe. Its design evolved from 2 prongs to 3 or 4, making it more practical and comfortable to use. No longer just an aristocratic accessory, it became a staple of dining, transforming the way people approached meals. Ironically, the very object once condemned as diabolical came to embody civility, hygiene, and class. Where it had once sparked sermons and condemnation, it now sparked fashion trends in silverware and table settings. Today, the fork is so ubiquitous that its scandalous past is nearly forgotten. Yet history reminds us how something as ordinary as a dining utensil can ignite debates about morality, religion, and the natural order. In the fork story, we see not only the evolution of a tool, but the stubborn clash between tradition and change. What was once condemned as an affront to God eventually became a symbol of civilization itself. The forecast journey from diabolical to indispensable reveals just how fragile the boundary between sin and sophistication can be.